Before I start, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's asked me questions. If anyone else has any questions, then feel free to ask me below and I'll try and answer them in my next video. I think I'm getting better at talking and drawing, but that's debatable. It's really debatable. I'm gonna record a Q&A today. I'm gonna do it like the last video when I was drawing at the same time. Again, I don't really know what I'm gonna draw. I probably should draw from reference, but I don't have anything right now. I just kind of woke up, so sorry if I'm a bit slow today. Got my water because I've been doing a fast. I'll talk more about that in a bit though, because I have some questions that are related to that. All of a sudden I have a sore throat. Okay, so I'm just going to dive in because I have quite a lot of questions. I just want to thank everybody who asked me questions. I really appreciate it and I hope these answers are okay. I haven't really prepped like properly for any of them, but I'm just going to answer them off the cuff, and if you ever want me to expand on something further, then I can make like separate videos for questions that require like a longer explanation, but yeah, and maybe then I can like plan it, but whatever. The first question is about my pin here on my pencil case. This pin is, it was made by my friend CP. She's in a lot of my other videos, or like her stuff is. She goes by the handle C Points. I'll link all her stuff below, but yeah, her stuff is amazing and I love it, so cute. So the second question is, what mechanical pencil brand is that? I think this was on my, well, I only really use one mechanical pencil. I don't tend to use mechanical very often. Oh, here we go. So I've been using this for like 10 years, this brand, and it's the Pentel Techniclick. There you go. So it's the Techniclick G by Pentel. It's a 0.5mm lead. The thing I like about this one is that the button to extend the lead is at the side, so you literally don't have to move your hand whilst you're drawing. You can just keep it there and just press it when you need more lead, rather than having to go like that like most of the other ones. So that's why I like this one, and you get an eraser and everything. So yeah, I've been using this for like 10 years on and off. Probably should start drawing something. Let me just I'm so good at this, guys, aren't I? I worn down my main pencil because I was drawing Spider-Man like yesterday, and this pencil's like, it was made to draw Spider-Man, don't you think? But yeah, okay, I'm gonna use the bigger one. Steve, get out the frame. I always get anxious about drawing on film because I am like, especially when it's just like freehand stuff, because when there's no planning, there isn't really a direction. So I don't know how interesting that will be. Maybe I'll do a speed paint thing for the next one, but I don't know, because talking and drawing like I'm finding now is really hard. That's not too bad, is it? There we go. Okay, let me answer questions. The next question is, I'm curious, do you use reference for most of these, or are the sketches just out of your head? So I would say that most of my finished drawings, which is like everything on Instagram pretty much, and stuff in like my e-zine and in my books, in my sketch logs, those are all not referenced poses. Those are all just like poses I made. Things that I reference, I usually say are just like studies that I use for practice. I do practice quite a lot, but I never post any of it really, apart from on my side account. I post occasionally, but not really. I don't really show that my study work online. Let me show you. Okay, so these ones are referenced, but they're just like for practice. I don't really use them. I don't use them for like my actual drawings. I don't have a lot of examples that are traditional, so I can't show you, but I'll try and put some. I'll put some up on the screen now that I can show you that are not referenced. These are just, when I post stuff like this is just like me working on things or like doing drafts for poses I want to use in the future. The majority of stuff that you see me draw is not referenced. Next question. So how are you able to, yeah, these two questions are related. How are you able to draw all those amazing poses? Please teach us. Also, when you draw from a movie or anime, do you pause it to draw? I don't often do studies of like screen caps, but it's something that I really want to do in this year, because I want to improve like my composition and things like that, and mood. But I have previously taken screenshots of movies or anime to study from, so that's what I would usually do if I was to do that. And I guess I should do a pose video in the future about poses, but you know what, I don't feel like I'm that good at it. I feel like I could improve in that aspect like a lot, but I think it's mostly to do with camera angles and variation. But yeah, I could try. I'll try. Next question is, can you make a video about how you improved your wrist injury as an artist? I have a wrist injury as well, and it hinders my ability to draw sometimes, and I don't see a lot of artists talk about how they deal with it. Okay, so to be honest, like my wrist injury was pretty bad. Like it got to a point where my whole wrist was just like really swollen and really red, and I couldn't move it at all, and just moving it a little would hurt, and it was all inflamed all across here. Like my whole ulnar bone like here was just really painful. And then I also had shoulder problems at one point. Like the key thing here is to like I went to, so there's a few things here. Firstly, I want to say that I'm not like a doctor or like a medical professional or anything, so anything I say here, just take it with a pinch of salt and just take what you want and do some research, do some further research. So I'm very much into holistic methods of healing. I did originally go to the doctor about my wrist, and the only advice they could give me was to rest it, and that would have been great, but they couldn't really rest it because I had to use it to do work. And also when I worked at the studio, I had to use my wrist a lot, and I also had trouble during that time as well. I've been to the GP like on 3 separate occasions. Every single time I would just be told to wear a wrist brace and rest my wrist as much as I can, which of course is good advice, but it doesn't exactly heal it. It will heal it if you give it enough time, but if you are still using it every day, then you're more likely gonna damage it more, or rather than give your body enough time to heal your injury. So there's a few things. So yeah, I would recommend, hang on. I'm pretty sure everyone who has a wrist injury already has one of these, but definitely recommend getting a brace with the first thing. So this is one I use. I've tried a lot and I really like this one because you can adjust the tightness of it here. So you can adjust the tightness of it quite finely. So if you need more wrist support, you can tighten this one. If your hand is hurting more, you can tighten these ones. And it also has like a thing for your thumb. But I actually use it like this because I find that it rubs too much there. And it comes in like 3 different sizes. So I think this is a small, but you can get like a medium and a large as well. And actually this might be the medium, but I'm not sure. I have pretty wide wrists. But yeah, this one's good. I would also recommend, if you've not considered it, to wear a brace whilst you're sleeping, because I don't know about you, but I tend to curl my wrists like this when I'm sleeping. So that also affects this area if it's quite inflamed. So that's like the first tip I would say. That's just like to make sure you don't injure it further just by accidentally like twisting it too far. But I would say that you have to exercise your wrist so it doesn't become like really stiff. So there's a lot of videos on YouTube about wrist exercises that will help. I'll link some of them down below, but those are really good if you can keep up with doing them often. They can help with like loosening the I don't really know the ligaments, what they call the tendons. Depends where your stiffness is, but there's a lot of different ones that will tackle different areas of your hand or your wrist. And then there's this one that really helped me that I would do on my way. I would do it whilst I was driving to work in the mornings. So I would, you need to get an elastic band and you hold it like this and you just pull back and forth like this, and it helps loosen, it helps strengthen, I don't really know like the details, but it helps to like strengthen joints and the muscles, and it really makes your hand feel a lot better afterwards, at least in my case. So I just did this whenever I had like a spare moment and that really helped me. And then there's things in terms of lifestyle that you can change. So you have to evaluate okay, so basically it's called like the cause of your wrist injury, or like why your arm's hurting and things, is because there's a lot of inflammation there, especially if it's like really swollen and red. So you have to consider things that cause chronic inflammation in your body. So diet is a really huge aspect and plays a major role. If you've heard the phrase "you are what you eat," then it's pretty true. Maybe we should zoom in a little bit. Sorry about that, guys. So there are certain foods that will worsen inflammation and there are foods that will help prevent it. So you have to consider your diet. This is a big topic and I can't really cover a lot of it, but I would say you look into like low inflammation diets, and also consider cutting out things like processed foods and sugary foods, especially sugary foods. If you can just cut out sugar from your diet, then your inflammation will be reduced dramatically, and you will see the results. But things like that really play a huge role. So it's worth considering. I also want to mention intermittent fasting. If you've never heard of it, I'm going to link a few videos below so you can check that out. But I'm not going to go into too much detail about that because some people just don't really understand. That's a whole other topic too, because it's very deep and it's more about health in general, but if you do implement it, it will also drastically help with any wrist injuries or any type of inflammation, or like, yeah, any type of chronic inflammation that you have in your body. It will clear it up. So I tend to try and eat low inflammation diet most of the time, just because I also have like skin problems. So whenever I'm not diligent, I also get like flares. But if I eat pretty well, then my skin's pretty good. And so yeah, it does help. So I hope that covers stuff that you haven't heard before. Yeah, if you research all those and focus on them, then I'm sure you can try what works for you, and hopefully over time your body will heal, your body enough like ammunition to heal this area, and your wrist will improve too. Okay, so next question is, when you were talking at the end about fixing a drawing. Okay, so this is in regards to my previous Q&A video about fixing poses. So when you're talking about the end about fixing a drawing when it looks stiff, is it better to turn the page and redraw from scratch, trying to learn from previous mistakes, or to hack the original drawing till it's to the standard I'm personally happy with? I've always tried to figure out which is best for developing. Okay, so it depends what you're doing. So when I was talking about correcting poses, no matter what, I was talking about finished drawings. So say you were working on the drawing for like an hour, and it's not, you all of a sudden you notice the mistake and you're like, oh no. That's when I would correct it no matter what, because you've obviously sunk in a lot of time, and if you see the mistake, it's better to try and fix it rather than just being like, oh, it's too late now. And because it's a finished piece, you're more likely to remember when you fix it. For things like studies or just like quick work or gesture work, I would say just move on, or just like iterate on the drawing that you previously did and try and redraw it. I wouldn't say try and fix your original drawing, just because you've not invested a lot of time into it already. So especially if they're just like 1 minute drawings, it shouldn't take you a long time to redraw it. So I would just suggest to redraw it. I hope that makes sense. So next question is, how do you accurately digitize your images to print? Do you take photos or use a scanner? For print, I use the scanner, just because I think the quality comes out better and the lighting is more consistent that way. My scanner isn't anything special. It's like an Epson. It's part of printer, so it's like an Epson something MV. No, that's not even Epson. It's a HP. I don't even know what my hat scanner is. Yeah, it's a HP scanner. Next question. Would you recommend practicing on sections of the body to draw it as a whole? I'm doing my art GCSEs and I really want to improve on my body structure. I'm not sure whether to explore with different medias too. Would you boost my chance of getting would that boost my chance of getting a high grade at the end of my GCSEs? Okay, for GCSEs, when I did GCSEs at least, which was a long time ago, but they did not really grade on how well you can draw at all. Like, that was really not in their interests. They really only cared about what different mediums you use, what kind of ideas you had, how you executed the ideas, how you could follow a theme. So for your GCSEs, I would just concentrate on making a lot of work and exploring different ideas. But if you want to improve art in general because you want to take it further, then I would say if you're drawing the body, you do gesture drawings, so that's the whole body as a whole. Draw the body as a whole. Don't draw the body in like separate sections. That always comes after, because how do I explain this? Okay, so say you draw a body. Say you draw a gesture like this, okay? So this is the head, and torso, and legs. Okay, so if you know how to draw this, this is the most fundamental and critical area. This is the most critical aspect of drawing the body that people kind of overlook, I guess. So if you have this knowledge, you can add on top of it. So don't try and, don't try and run before you can walk. So you have to know how to construct the body in the simple forms first, and then you can overlay anatomy on top, because anatomy is just a tool. Oh, come on, airplanes. Whenever there's an airplane, I'm gonna take a sip of water. So as I was saying, so anatomy is just a tool really. So the more knowledge you have of anatomy, the more you can add on top of this thing, but it's not necessary if you get me. Like, if your foundation is weak, then your whole drawing will be weak. So things like muscle definition, it's all dependent on the character anyway. So yeah, I would say concentrate and focus on the body as a whole first, and go from there, and you'll be alright. Another plane. Alright, next question. Any tips for me, please? I'm a freshman and I really want to go to art college so I can study stuff like colour theory and things like that, but my art is by good enough to be accepted to any schools. Accepted, I think you mean, right? What should I do? I try to draw every day and try new stuff, but I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. Okay, so art school is super expensive. I don't really know how it is in the US, but I've heard a lot of stories, and I get the impression that it's super expensive. There are a lot of courses online that you can actually take for fundamentals. So if you look into things like CGMA, Schoolism, other things, depending on where you live, you could even find like local short courses that you could take. You don't necessarily need to go to art school to learn colour theory or just like the fundamentals in general. I think art school is good for, so I've heard, I've never been to art school, but so I've heard it's good for like contacts and stuff. But if you are mostly wanting to go to learn, then you can definitely find resources online. And then maybe after you built your skills up more, then you can reapply, and if you still want to go to art school, that is, then hopefully you'll get accepted that time. So yeah, that's what I would recommend you do. Next question is, what is your inspiration? Art inspiration? I'm gonna answer this in terms of art inspirations. So my inspirations at the moment, they always change, but my inspirations at the moment are Claire Wendling, who is incredible. I absolutely love her pencil drawings. So She is like a massive inspiration for me. I really like, well, JC Leyendecker is like one of my biggest inspirations, and has been for quite a long time now. Who else do I really like? I really like Amy Zhao and Amy Zhao, Coconut, and Diane. I really like Joe Sparrow. There's a lot of artists that I like. I also really love Matsumoto Taiyo, but I think everyone knows that. And yeah, I like a lot of artists. So yeah, I hope that gives you a few names. I might list a few more people down below. But inspiration-wise, I'd say music is my big inspirations. Also my friends really inspire me a lot to work hard. So yeah. Next question is, okay, so this person emailed me and asked me quite a few questions, so I'll try and answer them as best as I can. I hope the answers are thorough enough for you. How important do you think it is for a creator to have an online presence? I think it's very important these days. I even heard like in China they're starting this thing where it's like you get a social credit score or something depending on your activity online. I don't know if they're gonna ever bring anything like that over here, but I would imagine they will eventually, just because everything's becoming digital. So yes, it's very important. But I would also say that if you are still studying, then it's not necessarily vital that you have an online presence, because you are still learning, and in a way you don't want to be known for like one thing like straight away when you're super young, because you can end up digging yourself a hole, because people will expect the same thing from you over and over again. And if you're stuck in something that you started when you were really young, you can easily box yourself in, and you know that's what your audience want you to draw, and so you won't explore like different things, or like won't even like discover new things that you might like drawing. So if you are studying, I would say be careful, and don't let your audience dictate what you want to draw. Like, just draw what you want to draw. Yeah. Okay, next question. What advice would you give for building your online presence? Oh, well, I guess I would just say draw what you want to draw. That's what I would say. People who do resonate with it will start following you. Just always work really hard. Be consistent. By consistency, I don't mean like you have to post every day. I just mean keep your work at a quality that is consistent, rather than updating a lot. But that just depends on the person. Like, if you like to churn out a lot of drawings, then that's fine. Like, I draw a lot, but I don't post a lot. So to me, it's like my drawings have to reach a certain kind of like, I would never post these, if that makes sense. Like, my drawings have to reach a certain level of quality for me, like a personal threshold, before I post it online, unless I just like need something to post. It's very rare that I post something that I don't really like on my Instagram. So yeah, I would say just post your best work, or post like works in progress. That's also something that people like to see. But yeah, stay true to yourself, draw what you like. If you're constantly jumping like on bandwagons, then I'm sorry to say this, but you will get burnt out. Like, I think I've seen this happen to a lot of people. So just be careful, and don't let, like I said before, don't let your audience dictate what you want to draw. Okay, so next question. What sort of process do you go through when creating and designing new characters? So I'm just gonna say this, like, I don't think I'm very good at designing characters. I literally have like the most self-indulgent characters like ever. So what I do is I usually just like design them with like an aesthetic that I like, or like a particular type of feeling. So for my character App, he's very sharp kind of looking and edgy. Well, I don't want to say edgy, but because he's very into like technology and stuff, and he's a bit like snappy. So I gave him a very like, he looks angry all the time, but he's not So that's the type of look I wanted for him. I don't really have many characters that I still draw. I still have them like in the back of, like in an archive or like in the back of my mind, but I don't draw them often. So I only really have 3 characters that I draw often. So I'm not gonna really cover this. I don't think I'm the best person to ask about this subject. So I'm sorry about that. I just draw what I like. Okay, next question. What sort of tactics help you to break through a creative slump or loss of motivation? Okay, I get this. This is pretty tough, but it relates back to the health thing with the sugar and intermittent fasting, because if you don't know, like, your diet really affects your moods. So if you eat a lot of heavy carbs or processed foods, or like heavy or like just eat a lot in general, then you will feel quite sluggish a lot of the time, and your motivation to do things generally is low because of it. And it's to do with when you're eating, your body has to use all of its energy to digest the food rather than use it for like brain power or like working on stuff. So if you don't eat the right foods, then you're not fueling your body and your brain in a way that would help you be more productive. So I would really highly recommend to look into the whole health, into those videos that I link below. And but also in terms of creative slump and just feeling like you can't draw, this is really hard too, but it can also be linked back to your thoughts. So a few years ago, I was struggling a lot with drawing, and I was wondering, like, how come sometimes I can draw really well and then sometimes I really can't, and it was really bothering me. I couldn't be consistent. So I came to realize, like, my thoughts really determined how I felt about what I drew. So say I needed to draw something and I was not very confident going into it, then the drawing would also come out not the way I wanted it, and it would not be bold enough, or like it would reflect how I felt. So I had to trick myself in a way and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to draw the most amazing drawing ever, it's going to be so good, and have that confidence to be like, yeah, I can draw this, I got this. And then once I started talking to myself like that, I started to like feel better about my drawings, or like at least the drawing I was working on came out better than if I was like shit talking myself. So you have to have discipline, and you have to believe in yourself. Oh god, that's so cheesy. Yeah, you have to believe in yourself. But those are just ways that I would try and use on myself to get over creative slump. I even get it now, and even I forget to do things to rewire my brain. But yeah, the diet thing does really help as well, because it gives you more energy. So sorry about that. There was another car in the driveway. Okay, next question is, what would you personally consider to be the most challenging thing about being freelance? Okay, so I don't know if many people know this, but there's a difference between being freelance and being self-employed as an artist, or like independent artist. So if you're freelance, you're usually looking for client work, so you're usually hired on a contract basis, and airplane. Yeah, usually hired on a contract basis, and that means you are constantly looking for new clients to work with, and because of that, it can be really stressful to be, well, maybe at the start, but once you've got like a repertoire of clients, then it's probably easier for you to find to work with the other people. I don't really know a lot about freelance work because I mostly work as a self-employed artist. I have done projects and stuff before, but I've never really pursued it like that way because that's not really what I want to do. So if you're talking about being self-employed, I would say the toughest thing is being strict and working when you need to work. Because you do make your own schedule and you have to stick to it. So if you're not good at motivating yourself and you're not very self-motivated, then it's pretty challenging. So I guess you have to make sure you are quite disciplined in terms of like knowing that you will do the work. And because there's a lot of work, you work more if you're self-employed than if you work for a company, so just be aware about that. But of course it doesn't really feel like work if you love it, so well, it does, but some things do, but a lot of it doesn't. So yeah, I hope that answers it enough. Next question. I think this is the last question. No, it's not. Oh, kind of the last question. So last question is, hello, I'm a pretty beginner artist. I love your work so much and you're truly an inspiration. Thank you very much. I'm illustrating cookbook right now and I was hoping to get advice on or tips and tricks from you. Anything that you've learned that you wish you knew in the beginning. Thanks so much. Okay, this is a very nice question. I haven't really thought deeply about this because I think if I did it would be a different answer, but from the top of my head, I think the thing I wish I knew was you can do it. Like you can do it. That's so cheesy. Like I wish I had the confidence to believe that I could become an artist, because when I was younger I always just did not think I could. I just thought I just had the worst self-confidence ever about my art and like just about myself as a person. So I really wish I knew that I could do it, and I think anyone could do it. As long as you apply yourself in your studies and you work hard, you can do it. I'm not even trying to mislead people here. Like it's so true. Like if you work hard and you like accept nothing else, then you can do it. I don't know if that's helpful in terms of art, but that's what I wish I knew from the beginning. I would also say that you have a long time, like you have a lot of time, and there's no need to rush anything. There's no need for you to be an overnight success, because that's really rare, and to be honest it's not always a good thing. So just have patience and things will fall into place eventually. I guess that's what I would want to know. In terms of art tips, I really don't think I have any. Art tips. If you could be more specific. It's hard to answer this question without a specific area to cover, so I hope that was okay. So this question isn't really a question, but I'm just gonna talk about it because I want to address this subject in a future video. So they're asking, would it be okay to share a tutorial tip on how you do the wrinkles on clothes, please? And yeah, that's fine. I will try and cover this in a future video because it's a big topic and I don't really think I'm necessarily the best at this. I'm always working on it. It's something that I struggle with, to be honest. But I love drawing clothes. It's really fun. I've not drawn clothes here, have I? Really? Are these drawings okay? Do you think it's okay if I post these ones? Yeah, I'll be okay, right? Also, don't think I'm going to do a vlog this month. I haven't decided. I'll see how much footage I have, but I don't think I will have a lot. I'm going to probably combine March and April together by the end of April and do it that way. Ah, sugar. I never mentioned my zine. Okay, I'm really bad at this, guys, but my zine's on pre-order right now. Thank you so much to everybody who's already pre-ordered. Like, it's been amazing. I'm going to have it open until at least the 31st of March, though I'm thinking of extending it to mid-April because my pins aren't going to arrive until around mid-April, so that might happen. I'll keep you posted. I'll link my shop below if you're interested in getting the zine. Also, again, if anyone else has any questions, feel free to ask me. I'll try and answer them in the next video. Please let me know if these are helpful for you, because I don't know if anything I say really makes sense. So thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.